What's up, Taiwan? I'm Ethan Liu with 10 minutes of news from here in Taiwan and around the world. National Sun Yat-sen University has developed Taiwan's first homemade underwater vehicle. Yvonne Yang takes a look at a new submersible.
Made in Taiwan, this is a two-person underwater vehicle invented by National Sun Yat-sen University. The school's principal and the director of the Underwater Vehicle R&D Center climb in for a test dive. Even in the water, the people inside can communicate with the surface. On this 2-hour dive, the vehicle went 50 meters under the surface around the offshore island of Xiaoliuqiu. Based on this dive, they'll make changes to the submersible.
我们会把舱内的空间重新安排，调配它的这个生理的这个条件之后，希望能够达到大概国际上是3人入舱，1人操作，2人做观测。
Another test dive is planned for next April. They're looking to test out a new acrylic exterior that will help improve visibility and make exploring the sea even easier. Rick Yi, Irene Wu, and Yvonne Yang for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's National Science and Technology Council says it will invest in further research into nuclear fusion. This follows the breakthrough announcement earlier this week that U.S. scientists at the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory had moved one step closer to making nuclear fusion a viable source of renewable energy. The council will offer grants for research into creating the extreme conditions required for nuclear fusion. It says there's still a long way to go before the technology can be commercialized. Scientists at National Taiwan University have made an interesting breakthrough in plant communication, one that could have big implications for agriculture. Sally Jensen reports.
If plants could talk, what would they say? While there's still no way of knowing for sure, scientists at the National Taiwan University have found a fascinating way of getting them to communicate.
这个地方我们可以看到颜色不均匀了，那因为光子是均匀的，所以可见的这个状况之下，应该是我们的水根的氧液它的吸收可能有不均匀状况，可能有些元素缺乏了比方说或许缺镁或者缺钾之类的。
After 12 years of cross-field collaboration, the scientists at the university's Department of Biomechatronics Engineering have developed a sensor that provides instant insight into plant health. Take this sprouting lettuce, for instance. You can see that the ends of its leaves have gone red. When the colour is unevenly distributed, that means that some nutrients are missing. So what does this development mean for the future of Taiwan's agriculture? Taiwan has a fluctuating climate and often experiences extreme weather conditions that can see harvests wiped out almost overnight. And Taiwan's heavy industry has damaged soil quality in many places, making it harder for plants to absorb the nutrients they need. If farmers are able to monitor and control levels of nutrient absorption, this could be a boon for yields and crop quality. But this technology comes with a hefty price tag.
所以如果我们想要知道说缺乏哪个离子元素的话，我们需要买这样的电极。那这样的电极它的价格非常的昂贵，一次只能量一个。所以一开始来讲的话，我们就必须尝试把它做的微小化。
So while we may not be able to converse with our cabbages just yet, this discovery could have major implications for the future of agriculture. Leon Lien and Sally Jensen for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's tourism sector is preparing for an expected surge in holiday travel. Labor officials predict the hospitality industry will need some 6,600 new staff ahead of January's Lunar New Year period. That's a record high for the season. They're expecting an influx of tourists after the country's COVID restrictions were eased. Some local governments are offering incentives of over $1,000 for young people to take jobs in the industry. After Taiwanese chip giant TSMC announced plans to build a second factory in America, U.S. President Joe Biden hailed the move as a game changer. The move is part of U.S. efforts to bring semiconductor production home. But as James Chater reports, Washington is not the only one with this goal.
Taiwanese semiconductor giant TSMC is building a second factory in the U.S. state of Arizona.
We'll construct a second fab here in Phoenix to build chips, 3 nano chips, the 3 nano chip.
And despite struggling with the jargon, US President Joe Biden says the $40 billion investment in chips, the brains of most modern devices, is a big win.
These investments are helping us build and strengthen the supply chain here in America.
TSMC's move came after Washington passed a new law, the CHIPS Act, in July, which earmarks $52 billion for boosting domestic production of microchips. It comes as the already tense tech rivalry between the US and China heats up.
This is a bad day for President Xi and the Chinese Communist Party, and the potential they would have of cutting off our access to advanced semiconductors.
For governments around the world, pandemic-era shortages of the most advanced chips, 90% of which are made by TSMC, was a wake-up call.
所以各国就发现到，有的半导体对产业不断链是这么的重要。
Governments now say a stable chip supply is an issue of national security, and that's left them scrambling to fund domestic chip making and reduce their reliance on Taiwan, even if it's costly. Apart from setting aside some $52 billion for chip development, the CHIPS Act also provides a 25% tax credit for investment in manufacturing equipment. Japan has approved 774 billion yen for domestic chip investment, with grants of up to 50% of capital expenditure. And South Korea, home to TSMC's main rival Samsung, has promised $450 billion in chip investment over the next decade, with tax breaks of up to 40% for chip development. But in Taiwan, there are fears this trend will create cracks in the country's silicon shield. That's the idea that the country's world-leading chip industry would deter Beijing from attacking Taiwan, which China claims as part of its territory. In response, Taiwan passed legislation in November that's been called its own version of the CHIPS Act. It will provide companies in research and development tax credits of up to 25% for investment in innovation and 5% for investment in advanced chip-making equipment. Critics say the act will only help giant firms like TSMC, but there are those who feel Taiwan's position at the top of the chip supply chain is secure.
It's going to be very hard for U.S. to build a fab business overnight. So the worry that TSMC would be stolen overnight would be a little bit far-fetched.
The production of advanced chips at home is a costly business, but for many governments, it's worth the price in exchange for national security. Ricky and James Chater for TaiwanPlus.
A research team has set out to answer the question of what Taiwan's prehistoric people ate. Despite limited evidence, they've used ingredients that have been available to create a menu that's millennia old. Zhang Van Trist has the story.
Cultural Resources Professor Cai Jinshi and his students are on a culinary mission. They want to reconstruct dishes the inhabitants of southeastern Taiwan might have eaten 3,000 years ago. They've enlisted the help of the National Museum of Prehistory in the southeastern city of Taidong. Evidence like scorch marks around nearby prehistoric sites make some things about the ancient diet clear.
在食物烹煮方面，用火去烤这个是一定会，基本上是没有什么疑义的。但是他们也会透过就是间接的运用一些器具来做烹煮，那这个也是可以想象的。
Using ingredients local people would have known, they've created a spread of 9 dishes. They include cakes of scorched rice, stewed vole, and mahi-mahi sashimi. Though there are clues as to what ancient people ate, coming up with these dishes involved creativity and guesswork.
没有办法说它不对，但是我们也不知道对的是什么，所以就是在那样子的空间去想象跟你知道就是幻想，我觉得是一个很棒的尝试。
The team hopes its prehistory-themed inventions will one day be offered commercially and attract tourism to the Taidong area. Damon Lin and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. I'm Ethan. Take care, and I'll see you next time.